Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So I have quite a large pile for me of recently finished knitting projects, and I thought it would be fun to just show you all of them and take you through everything that I have knit recently. I made it a goal this summer to finish all of my WIPs or my works in progress. I had quite a pile of unfinished knitting projects. And yeah, I made it a goal for myself to work through those this summer, and I have done just that. So I'm going to share all of those with you today. If you're new here, my name's Rebecca. I love talking about sewing, knitting, and slow fashion. So if those things are of interest to you as well, please do consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons below. And let's go ahead and get into all of my recently finished knitting projects. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you my oldest WIP. So I actually started this project last year, I think at the end of last summer, and then I abandoned it in favor of working on more fall appropriate projects. So I wanted to pick it back up this summer, and I did, and I completed it. And so that is this one. So this is the Camisole number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I knit this up with a single strand of Cascade 220 fingering weight in this lovely royal blue color. I wanted to wear this with my high-waisted bottoms, and so I did crop the length a bit more than the pattern has intended. But as you can see, it's a classic racer style tank, and it has a folded over neckband, armbands, and then the hem as well is folded over. So everything's really clean, and it's just a really classic shape and silhouette. I'll be sure to insert some photos of me wearing each of these items as well, but for the purpose of showing you today, I just thought it would be easier to hold them up. So this was my first fingering weight project. I was a little bit intimidated by working with such tiny needles at first, and it did go quite slowly at the beginning until I got used to it. But I think if you've worked with fingering weight yarn and needles before, this is a fairly straightforward and basic project. I will say that mine is 100% wool. The Cascade 220 fingering weight yarn is a 100% wool yarn, and so it is quite warm. I think it's going to be more appropriately worn as a layering piece than as a summer tank top. I think if you wanted it to be a summer tank top, you might consider using like a linen blend or cotton blend or something like that. I'm really happy with it. I love this royal blue color, and I think the fit is good. I do think that I could have made the neckband when I bound off a little bit stretchier. It's a little bit snug to pull on and off, but once it's on, it's comfortable. I will say that the cut in on the racerback is quite narrow, and so you see bra straps if you're wearing them. But overall, I'm really pleased that I finally finished this. It sat untouched for over a year, and I just needed to finish it, and I did. So that is my first finished WIP, and I love the color, and I look forward to wearing it actually more now that it's starting to cool down a little bit, because it is wool, and I think it'll look really nice underneath shirts, such as the one I'm wearing today. So first finished object is Camisole number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I would highly rate this project, this pattern. The second WIP that I finished this summer is not by any means a summer appropriate project. It is a beanie. So this is the Musselburgh hat, I think I'm saying that correctly, by Ysolda Teague. And the yarn that I used for this, I actually got at Hobby Lobby. It was one of their sock yarns. So you can see it has this really lovely variegated texture and color. It's really soft, and I really like the yarn. I believe it's a superwash merino wool. And the Musselburgh hat is really interesting in that you're basically knitting a very long tube with decreases at either end. I think you can see that. So you use basically the whole skein of the fingering weight sock yarn and you knit this big tube and then you fold it kind of into itself and then fold up the brim and you have a really lovely beanie. It has decreases at the top and yeah, I'm really pleased with the project. I think it's a really cool design. If you chose to use 2 different yarns, it could be fully reversible, and it's a great project to use up just one skein of sock yarn if you have spare yarns lying around that are special and you want to use the whole skein for a project. I really like this pattern. The instructions were easy to follow, and it's a really good couch knit because you're just knitting in the round after you've done the initial increases for that whole long tube. So like I said, I'll insert some pictures of me wearing it. I think that the fit is great. I think I made the adult medium. I will double check size. I do think that the colors might not be the best for me next to skin. I don't know, it kind of washes me out a little bit. I sort of wish I'd gone for something for a different color, but you have multiple layers because it's folded on itself. It's very warm, it's very soft, and this is a pattern that I will definitely be making again in the future. So if you're looking for a simple hat pattern and you want to use up a full skein of your fingering weight yarn, I think this is a really great pattern to try out. The third whip that I completed this summer is the Ingrid Slipover, which is a pattern by Petite Knit. Hopefully you can see it's an all over textured pattern, and the texture is all created with knits and purls. So you're not doing any cabling, but you do get a really beautiful all over textured result. I knit the size medium, and I believe I measured into the small and I wanted it to be a little bit more oversized. So I did knit the medium, and I used Lion brand Fisherman's wool in their neutral color. It's 100% wool. It's a worsted weight yarn, and it's really readily available at places like Joann. So it's really accessible, and I actually really enjoyed working with it, and I've made a couple of other projects with this yarn. So if you're looking for an affordable 100% wool yarn, I would try the Fisherman's Wool by Lion brand. I really, really liked working with it, and they have a few different colorways. So for the pattern itself, I have never made a textured knit before. So this was my first fully textured knit, and I was a little bit intimidated by it, but once I got the initial pattern repeat down, it was really approachable. You start by knitting this sort of, what is that shape? Trapezoid. You start by knitting this sort of trapezoid shape at the back, and then once you've done these 3 pattern sections, they're just repeated throughout for the rest of the slipover. So I think it's a really approachable first all over textured knitting project if you want to play with texture and learn some new stitches. I really enjoyed making this one, and I'm really excited to layer it over t-shirts and button-down shirts this fall just with jeans. I think this is going to be in heavy rotation in the cooler months, and I'm really proud of it. I think that it looks like a lot of work and effort went into it, and I was surprised by the simplicity of the pattern, if that makes sense. So if you want to try a textured slipover, there's a sweater version as well, like a full with sleeves version if you want to do that. But I really like this pattern. I really like the yarn. Very pleased with this project. Okay, the next project that I completed this summer that I'm very excited about is this lovely red champagne cardigan. This is another Petite knit pattern, and the yarn that I used was Hobby Friends wool. It's the first time that I've worked with that yarn, and I really enjoyed it. It's really affordable, and I loved this cranberry red color. I think that it works really well with light blues, such as the shirt that I'm wearing, and so I chose the wool entirely based off of the color. and I'm really pleased with it. It is very warm, it's very soft, it's 100% wool, it's a worsted weight, and I'm really, really pleased with how this cardigan came out. I really like that it's a raglan style cardigan, and it has quite chunky, generous cuffs and hem at the bottom. And then I just paired it with some plastic red buttons. I really like when the sweater and the buttons are similar or the same color. So I'm really pleased with this one. This was a project that I thought would be a bit tedious because if you've knit a cardigan before, you know you're doing a lot of back and forth. So you're doing a lot of purling as opposed to when you knit in the round. So I thought it would take a long time, but probably because it is a worsted weight gauge, it went really, really quickly. I think the most tedious part was just doing the button band, which after you've knit the cardigan, you come back and you pick up stitches all the way around, and then you do a double knit neckband, and that allows you to make the buttonholes really clean as well. So you do that with a double pointed needle as well as the cable needle. And yeah, I'd never done a double knit button band before, but the instructions were really great. It did take a while to do, but I love the result. It came out in a really clean and professionally finished way, I think. So I'm really, really pleased with this project. One of my Make 9 goals for 2024 was to knit something colorful, and I think my lovely cranberry red champagne cardigan definitely ticks that goal off. So very pleased with that one. Next up, we have another Petite knit pattern, and I actually used the same yarn as the Ingrid Slipover that I showed you, the neutral fisherman's wool. I had plenty of it, and I had enough to make another slipover. So this time I made the Stockholm Slipover V-neck. You can see it's a really straightforward, classic V-neck vest. I really enjoyed knitting this. It came together really, really quickly. And again, it's going to be another great layering option for the fall. I wanted to have a V-neck that I could put button-up shirts underneath and kind of have the collar coming out over the top of the V. So this project was really quick. It was really easy and only took me a week or two to complete, and I'm really, really pleased with the result. So I would definitely recommend her Petite knit slipover patterns. The worsted weight gauge makes them go really quickly, and I think that slipovers are a perfect addition to a autumn wardrobe because they're great for layering when it's not too cold yet, but you need a little bit extra warmth. So really, really pleased with this pattern and yarn combination as well. The last project that I want to share with you is not going to show up very well and it'll look better in the cutaways, but this is the All Good dress, which is a pattern by Knitonomy, and it's very long. Like I said, it'll show up better in the cutaways, but it's a maxi length, midi maxi length, depending on your preference, t-shirt dress, and it's knit with a single strand of fingering weight yarn. So I actually used the same yarn base as I did for Camisole number 9, which was Cascade 220 fingering non-superwash wool. I really like this wool and I enjoyed working with it on the Camisole number 9, so that's why I chose to use it again. It's also really affordable, and I knew that I wanted this dress to be something that I could wear in the autumn. I know that if you want it to be a summertime t-shirt dress, you would probably use a different fiber, but I really wanted this to be an autumn winter garment. This project took a really long time because it is such a long dress and because it's a fingering weight yarn on really small needles. But the construction is quite simple. If you've ever knit a t-shirt pattern before, once you've done kind of the shaping for the collar and the shoulders and even the little the sleeve bits, you're just knitting in the round for a really long time until you get down to your desired length of the dress. And I did want mine to be quite long. So this was a good project for watching movies in the evening and just kind of mindlessly knitting in the round for a long time, for a lot of hours. I will say that I had a little bit of trouble with my needles with the cable set that I bought to make this project and the Camisole number 9. I purchased the Knit Picks interchangeable lace set. It's pretty affordable. I think it's around $50 or $60 for the set, and I didn't have any issues with it when I was knitting the camisole. However, to knit this dress, you need quite a long cable. So the longest one I think was 40 inches, and I had a really negative experience working with that particular length of cable with those interchangeable needles. So I can try to find a picture. I definitely documented it, but basically where the cable attaches to the metal of the interchangeable tips where you can screw it in and out, that part broke, and it broke while I was knitting, and I was very gentle with it. So I thought, oh, it's probably a fluke. And I contacted the company, and they actually sent me out a replacement cable of the long 40-inch cable. And so I picked up all of the many, many drop stitches, put on the new cable, and proceeded to knit. I was very close to the end of the body actually at that point, and it happened again. The cable broke again while I was knitting. It started to just kind of feel like maybe there was a little bit of a snag, so the wool would kind of catch on the cable as I was knitting, and then it just came off. And I wasn't bending it or anything like that. So I wouldn't recommend those needles, the lace set from Knit Picks. I did not have a great experience with. But what I did do is on my Instagram stories, I asked if anyone had any long cable needles that they really loved, and a couple of people suggested Chiao Gu. So that's what I ended up doing. I went over on Amazon and I bought the really long, I think it was a 3.25 millimeter needle, and I was able to finish the project no problem. And I could tell just from holding that particular cable that it's a much better quality. It was a lot more substantial, and the join was really smooth to the needle tip. So yes, this project would take a long time anyway, but because I had so much difficulty with the tools that I was using, it took even longer. And so I'm really pleased to have it off of my needles, and I'm excited to wear it. I really like how it fits. I like how it looks, and I'm really glad that I made it. It just, it kind of became one of those projects you just want to get it over with because there were so many hiccups along the way. I do love the result. And I think the all good dress, if it doesn't already have a separate pattern, there may be, would be great for just a normal t-shirt. If you followed the pattern exactly and just made it shorter, it would be a great relaxed t-shirt pattern too. So if that's something that you're looking for. So I feel like I actually did quite a lot of knitting over the past several months and kind of the summer season. It's not typically an activity that people associate with warmer weather, but I just had a lot of inspiration to knit, and I did a lot of knitting in the evenings. So I'm really, really pleased with all of these garments that I have made, and I'm excited that it's going to be cooling off in the upcoming weeks, and I will have a lot more opportunity to incorporate these into my handmade outfits. So hopefully that was interesting to watch. Hopefully you got some inspiration if you're looking for projects you might want to cast on this fall. I'm really excited to cast on some new projects. I actually have already cast on one, and I did it while I was waiting for the replacement, the second or the third. So yes, in my frustration when things weren't going well with the dress and I had to wait for more tools to arrive, I did end up casting on a new sweater project, and this is what I've got going so far. You can see I've got the collar, started on one sleeve, and yeah, I've done quite a bit of work on this so far. So what I wanted was a higher neck, kind of like a mock neck that was a raglan. And I did some looking around on Ravelry and Instagram, and there are sweaters out there that are similar to what I wanted, but I did already own the raglan crew neck sweater pattern by darling Jadore. It's called the Essential Sweater, I think. I'll be sure to put it up here. But I had a raglan sweater pattern that just had a folded over crew neck, and so I thought it would be really simple to just not fold it over and kind of continue up to create a higher neckline. That pattern, the Essential Sweater, is meant for DK weight, I believe. I think that they suggest a baby yarn, so it's an acrylic yarn that is suggested with the pattern. But I used a worsted weight wool, and this again is the Lion brand Fisherman's Wool in this lovely kind of chocolatey brown color. It has a little bit of texture to it. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Hopefully you can pick up some of the texture here. But it's really warm and soft, and I really like working with the Fisherman's Wool. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. I didn't change the size that I made while adjusting to a worsted weight yarn. I just went up one needle size. I think it suggests 6 and I went to a 7, making the same size. And I just knit the collar all the way up and obviously didn't fold it over. So that was a really easy modification. I don't have a lot of experience modifying knitting patterns. I've definitely played with tweaking sewing patterns a lot. And so I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident with knitting to like stray from the pattern and make changes to suit my preferences. So while I was waiting for the right needles to finish the dress, I got the neck and the body done actually. And then I've just recently picked up and started working on the sleeves. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I think it'll probably be finished relatively quickly because I only have, a sleeve and a half to go. And yeah, I've got quite a pile of sweaters here for the upcoming season that I'm really excited to wear. Thank you so much for watching and spending a little bit of time with me today. I hope that you're all doing really well. Let me know in the comments below what you're working on, what your knitting plans are for the fall. As I said, I've been really inspired by knitting recently. I've been wanting to try new things and new fibers and patterns. So if you have any suggestions for patterns that you're really excited to cast on, please do let me know in the comments. I always get so much inspiration from you guys and what you're working on too. I will see you again very soon in the next one.